Hello, everyone. We welcome you of our today's interview with Roberto from Ministry of the Diamond Light. We're going to allow him to introduce himself and talk about his story, how he all started, and how he does what he does.
Okay, thank you, Iouri. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Where do I begin? Well, first of all, I'm founder of the Ministry of the Diamond Light, and have a healing center. So I'm a licensed massage therapist, but I also have trained and studied in different forms of energy healing modalities, um, for many, many years, for over I think it's like 23 years now. Um, and I created one of my own energy healing things based on all of my experience. And I can go back to where it all began because, you know, when I was younger, I was a kid. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be an energy healer. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I was surviving. My interesting family um, dynamic growing up. So once I was able to get out of that, because it wasn't the most positive experience, um, I was finally on my own. I went to college and I became a professional dancer, actually. And that was where, when I was a little kid, it's like I would know things. I'm 5 years old. I'd be sitting playing with other kids, and I would see two adults and having a conversation. And I was like, why is he lying to, I didn't even hear what they were saying. Why is he lying to her? But she's really smiling. So she's like eating it up. And then I'm just like, wait a second, why am I even thinking this as a kid? So I always had some kind of knowing. There was always kind of spirit around me and didn't know what it was. Um, just kind of kept it to myself. And, but what I learned over time was, for some reason, I was able to see the higher self of people, the best part of people, regardless of what I call shadows or wounds or things that will make them act out in certain ways or say things that might not be pleasant, or that kind of thing. They're going through something. I always knew there was always a compassion there because I always knew, even as a kid, that people are going through things. So it was there. I carried that in this life with me. Um, but I wasn't really utilizing it. I was just noticing it and kind of seeing what was going on. So um, as I as I progressed in life and got older, I was doing dance and stuff like that. I always knew that at that point, I was like, there's something else. I'm going to go into massage therapy, but I really want to do energy healing work. And I was like, well, I'm finishing, I waited until the time was right. And I went to Swedish Institute in New York City to have an associates in science and in biomechanics of the body and energy work and different modalities like shiatsu and Eastern Chinese medicine. We had to study there. So it's like, it was a really reputable program and I really, really loved it. But that's what got me interested more in the energy work. And when I started doing energy work, all that other stuff came back to me, even like memories of when I was dancing. Because as artists, you're in, whether you're aware of it or aware of it or not, in the act of creation, you're opening up to a higher consciousness and different energies. Like everything's made of energy. So the whole universe is this energetic force um, that we're always connected to and tapped into. It's just the stuff that goes on in our lives, our pedestrian lives, I'll call it. They interfere, they create interference, and then we're dealing with that stuff and trying to survive. So our we lose some of the perception of these higher energies, our intuition, these things. So part of the healing process is trying to undo that, and quiet the noise and the interference so that you can connect to your higher consciousness. I think as artists, um, whether they know it or not, or it naturally happens, it's like you open up to that, and that's where the inspiration comes from. But it's really coming from your higher
Mhm.
self and its connection to the divine, whatever the consciousness is.
Mhm.
So what am I getting to? So so
But
that oh, go ahead. You
and
can
obviously, yeah, you have a very colorful background, and through your life experiences, you are trying to connect all those dots to have a full picture right in front of you. Because sometimes when we are younger, we're running our life and something is still playing on the background, but we don't know what it
Mhm.
is, but we can still hear it. Whether it's a distraction or whether it's guidance or there's something that has to do with the intuition. And once we get the knowledge and at the right time, at certain maybe even situation appearance, we starting maybe waking up little by little. And then when obviously our divine time is coming, we still have a choice, right? Whether to accept it or I guess, deny it and move forward. Anyway, it's our free will. So for you, starting from being like a dancer, going through different education processes and become the massage therapist and the energy healer, it all was making sense to you because you realize eventually what, like from your first point of the dot, you start to connect it through your life where you are actually right now, right? And can you
Yeah.
talk about, please, your practice, your establishments, and what tools and modalities are you using in healing?
Oh yeah, of course. I just wanted to say one more quick thing
Yes,
about the
yes.
past, and then I'll go right to it.
Mhm.
Um, when I was a dancer, it's like I didn't know, oh, we're made of energy like back then. But what I experienced was I was on stage, and whenever there was an emotionally charged experience in my life, it was like, or my grandmother I was so close to had passed away, and I had to perform 2 nights later. So it was like, I came out of my body, my energy body. I was watching myself, my physical body doing it. And I'm like, what is this? I was like, oh, okay. So that's like the first real, I'm not just my physical body.
Mhm.
And then I got nervous and I was just like, I'm gonna mess up. And then boom, I was back in, you know, the physical perspective. So I just wanted to just share that because it was like, that through line of like becoming aware of being more than just the physical body. So
Mhm.
I'm fascinated. The massage therapy, I love working with the physical. That's part of my practice as well. It's not the only thing. I incorporate many things, but the physical is important too, because the blockages in your energy are creating physical issues in the tissues in your body. Now, all the tissues in your body are made of energy, and you can affect it with energy work and release those things. But sometimes you have to use hands-on like physical things to remove the physical blockages, like for instance myofascial release. You have your muscles and they're surrounded by this fibrous fascia. Well, there's spaces in between the fascia. It's what separates all the different parts of our body, and in that space is our nerve cells, our lymph system, the meridians in Chinese medicine. They're in that they're in that space. I call it interstitial space, but it's in that space. So when muscles like are contracted or there's injuries, things like that, it closes the space, and then the energy can't flow as well. So, and we perceive that as pain, like a nerve will get inflamed because of the pressure, like different things. So physically, we try to alleviate that as well. So you can open up the space so that when I do energy healing work, then it's even easier to get like you're setting, it's multidimensional. So in the modalities, I'm going from physical. We deal with the emotional aspect because we hold emotions. Emotion is energy. We hold it in our bodies. It causes restrictions. You can feel it. If something happens, you feel it in your heart. You're like, oh, it's heartbreaking, or wherever you feel it in your body, or it could be muscular. But then there's also the mental aspect. So I bring into the practice. It's like when we're releasing things, I may have a background for like 20 years in it's like intuitive heart-centered counseling, but I don't call it counseling. It's just communication. It's so that we can have deeper connections, and we can have deeper connections and connect more deeply on a more soul to soul connection, and that's where healing happens as well. So, um, so that could, you allow the person, or I allow the person to give um, meaning to the emotion for themselves, so that they can understand what it is. So the energy field itself has all the information of what's needed, what needs to be released for that person in that moment. A lot of the times it lines up with what the person comes in for, but sometimes other things come up because what the person really needs is a cause, is to alleviate the cause that's then the next step is causing this, that is what they're coming in for.
Mm-hmm. And
You would say.
if obviously being on the same page, first of all, thank you for sharing one of your personal stories regards the connection and I guess being so close with your grandma that you felt after she passed away that this balance, right? Because sometimes when this type of situation occurs in our life, our soul is trying to escape the physical body, because if it's off balance, it's for most of the time, even from my experience, I had experiences that my soul almost was trying to escape from its physical body. Sometimes it could get like to 80%, and you feel this balance, like what's going on? You like present in all a different plane of existence, and you cannot even concentrate. And once you balance it, because the spirit has to be obviously fit in our body structure, and we have to, like you mentioned, pay attention to our physical body, take care of it, right? And because the energy doesn't need those things, only our body is. But it's very important to find this balance, and through that balance, obviously, we have those multiple tools in our hand that we're doing in order to help the clients, first of all, because at some point we were being helped by those abilities, and we start to project all that healings in us. And then once we start feeling and growing, that we can, expand, meaning we can help others. But usually it's better to start with our own being, meaning to take care of our body, get the experience and the knowledge, and so we can share it with the rest, with the world. And I would like to ask you, can you maybe remember, or already, and provide an example where you have a case, maybe somebody came for the session, how the person was before and after, like in a comparison form, so our audience can see what's going to be like a result, or how it's they might feel, because obviously every session is going to be unique, because every person is unique and the soul is unique. We have different, maybe similar experiences, but they're still going to be unique. So if you can please.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because similar experiences, people process things differently
Mm-hmm.
and at different rates. And so that I feel is like, my brother and I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the same traumatic experience, and we were very close in age. And my perspective, I knew it was like, this has nothing to do with me. This is my mom. My mom was addicted to drugs, and she had her struggle. She suffered with depression and things like that. So I saw her. I was just like, oh, she's trying, but she needs help. And back then, it's like nobody was help. There was what's therapy? Like they weren't, able to help her, and people would be angry with her, and I'd be like, they're not seeing it. So that was my perspective. So I never took it on. I felt like, okay, well, she's not well, and she's struggling. Anything that she's saying, doing, or whatever the environment has nothing to do with me. So that perspective really saved me. And my brother took on all the shame and all the different things, the negative aspects, because he wasn't able to process that experience the way I did. So people process things very differently. So that's a factor. And what they need is always different. So it's customized. So what was the beginning of your question? You were
Yeah,
saying,
in a comparison, like
oh,
experience
comparisons,
on, yeah,
yes.
you talk about, but also we're looking for that like a trigger point, the key ingredient that actually save you. But obviously you weren't accepting that reality that was trying to project right through your mom's situation, but your brother like it took it right and accepted. But what saved you? Like what was the like a key ingredient, or maybe like a focus, or maybe something shift? Maybe you found somebody who helped you.
I, you know, I didn't have anyone. I really didn't. I feel very fortunate that like I was able to kind of do that on my own. I mean, there were like some, I'll call them kind of angelic people,
Mhm.
like people like, my mother couldn't take care of us, and there was no food or not enough food, and I would go to school with no food and hungry, and the vice principal, I still remember her name.
Wow.
She came up to me after a week and was just like, I noticed that you haven't been eating lunch. And I was like, yeah, well, we don't really have much food and so forth. And I was 6 years old. I was in first grade. I was going to the supermarket to just steal little things of food sometimes. Like, I don't say go steal food, but I was a kid, I was survival, I was pretty much on my own. So she put us on a hot lunch program, me and my brother, and I was just like, and I remember this woman. I was 6 years old. I'm way more than 6 years old. And I remember her name. I remember her face. So, so I knew that there were good people in the world. I just wasn't, and I would get these little kind of rescues in desperate situations. But it was pretty much up to me. Um, and for me internally, it was like, I knew it wasn't permanent. Something inside me, my intuition, whatever you want to call it, I knew that there was no, it was painful, but I knew that it wasn't like, it's not going to be like this forever. Like, my dad had to leave. They got divorced. He had to leave. I saw what was going. I was relieved when he left, when he left her, but she automatically got custody because that's the way it worked back then. Um, and then he would have to prove that he was more fit of a parent, which he was, than she was. So I was with her alone for quite a few years. Um, but I knew he never said anything to me, but I knew when my mother tried to say, he abandoned us, he doesn't love you, this kind of stuff. And I actually started crying. And she thought I was crying because I believed it, but I was crying because I couldn't believe she was lying to me,
Oh wow.
because I knew he loved me. And I said to myself, he will he will come back to get me. I had that knowing. So that I just waited. I was a patient little, I don't know how, 6-year-old. But I was cooking back then. I had to do everything. There's some show, some movie, some book called Matilda. If anybody goes to
Wow,
watch
it's
that,
like
I
six
was
years old boy
Matilda.
were living like 16 years old life, like literally,
Yeah.
maybe even
I taught
older.
myself to read. I had to teach myself to read and write myself.
Wow.
We weren't in school much. So yeah, it was like it was interesting. So, you know, y y I always saw the light. And I think I always see the light in people, and I always see the hope if somebody else is not seeing it or not seeing it fully. And I try to reflect that best part of them and that hope back to them. It's like there's a divine love that we talk about, right?
Yes, of course.
And it's like, what is that? It's an energy. It's a universal energy. We're all connected to it. It's total consciousness. It's like your heart. That's why we talk about the heart chakra, the heart portal, whatever it is. It's our connection to the divine, actually. We get information from our crown, it comes in, but everything is processed here. Everything that's in the lower chakras that are in this world, 3D world, I'll call it, our physical world is the first three, and the upper higher energies are the top three, and it all comes to the heart. And how open your heart is, that energy there, has a lot to do with the traumas you've had in your life and experience. So it closes down because you're protecting yourself. But what has to shift is you have to be able to open that for yourself again,
Mhm.
and that will fuel a better life for you,
Yeah.
because that's the beacon into the universe. The universe is not stacked, is stacked in our favor, is actually stacked in our favor. Like the energy, it doesn't discern divine creator, whatever art, omnipotent intelligence,
Yeah.
whatever you
It's
want
like
to, the
whatever
universe.
we are in tune on, like tune in, and then we'll
Yeah,
receive according to our vibration. Yeah.
exactly. So in the work I do, I try to help people learn how to clear the static and elevate their vibration so they can connect more to their higher self, to, you can call it God, divine creator, divine love. And but that love is an energy and a frequency. And
Yeah.
that frequency is all healing.
Yeah. And when we talk about the light and unconditional love, this is obviously the most highest vibration in the entire universe. And especially you being like a kid, and kids are in general in a younger age, they're so open to this, you know, I guess experiences, and intuitively they know exactly how not only them but the world around them function and exist. And it's hard for like adults, as you mentioned, your mom saying something that relates to your father, and you like automatically felt it because it wasn't like a true. And for the kids, it's very easier to seek this truth, in people, even though the words might not saying, the correct information. And I believe it's all starting from the young generation of people that's eventually gonna lead, this world to success, because it has to start from the young generation. Because in
Mm-hmm.
adults, and I'm sure we all can relate our lives when we were shifted, not in a, I guess, right way, and we were sometimes doubt, many things. And but the kids don't have those like issues in a younger, issue. They might have additional, yeah, of course, difficulties, like being hungry, as you mentioned, but they know how this, I guess, planes of existence that the human eyes are not seeing. They know how it all runs by the universe and the creator, because we all God's creation. Yes.
Well, yes, and we talk about, it just makes me think about manifestation. It's like, I know we're supposed to be talking about healing, but
But
it
it's part
is.
of it.
It's
Yeah, of
part of the healing process,
course.
because in order for you to manifest things that are in your highest good, best interest, what's right for you, you have to believe, and we're getting back to belief. You have to believe that there's more than just what's in front of you. You have to learn to trust that through experience, but you have to, raising your vibration is really just raising your conscious awareness, so you can see more of the unseen. So it's like a whole process, and the healing process, is to clear, is you got to work, you got to do the inner work. It sucks,
Yeah, nobody
sometimes.
wants to do the homework, right? After school. It's like,
No, but like I told someone else before recently, um, it was like another podcast that I was, a friend of mine did, that I was on. I was like, you are the best job that you will ever have. It's the most rewarding job. If you put in the work for yourself, think of it as work. I think of it as an opportunity. It's like the challenges in your life are an opportunity to understand what needs to be different and how you can shift it. You're such a powerful creator. We're all divine creators. We're all our own. We are part of the universal consciousness, and in that, it's like, I don't like to say this sometimes, but it's just like there's God, or the divine creator. You are a divine creator.
Absolutely
You're
right.
not. You might be a piece, but that piece is whole,
And I
and that
think
whole resonates with
uh-huh.
the
I'm sorry to
higher
interrupt, but I
frequency,
think the
God.
also correct frame will be we are limitless, meaning we have ability to create our lives the way we want it, and only the creator and yours can support it if for our highest and best good, as long as
Yeah.
we progress and expand our love, to ourselves, to the people around us, to the humanity, the world,
Hmm.
Mother Earth. It's
And
that's
when
all
you
about. When
when
we
you
actually start focusing on those things, all the information, all the knowledge, and energy will be provided. It's like we don't know how, but it's actually will, and we know that's the way it works.
Because you attract it. When you embody the divine love within yourself, it clears that. That's why the heart, it's timeless. You go into timelessness, and that's like you go into like your heart is the portal to the quantum field, if you want to go scientific. So where all possibilities are available, and it's like where there's no space. It's just, and you can feel it. And you get a sense of peace. It's that divine love, and that's what I channel into my work. Because even as a kid and growing up, I always had that. So you're saying that thing that saved me was that. Now that I think about it, there were circumstances and people, but that's what it is. When my grandmother, I was talking about before, the reason we were so close is because she saw me and valued me and respected me, even though I was a child. And that unconditional love that came from her, hopefully everyone could look back to one person in their life.
It gives me goosebumps all over. I
Yeah, I'm
can
getting it
feel that
too.
love.
That's what I'm talking about. So when I think of her, I remember that feeling. The feeling is your heart's that beacon, and that's the resonance, and then that love will come to you. That's why it has to be open. I'm not saying open it to every person in the world, because people do crappy things and they're in their own shadows and things. They're responsible for that, but we're responsible for making the choice to stay in those situations or remove ourselves from those situations.
Yeah.
And all that stuff goes in our body. So I think the first step and the easiest is to really just try to feel that
Yeah.
divine love.
And I
And
think
I work with
sometimes,
frequencies to help that.
and I think sometimes that something doesn't work out in our life. It could be, many scenarios that we might be on a safe side, maybe we're not ready, or maybe just, like I said,
We're resisting.
yes, protecting us, but it's totally fine. But once we are ready, we have to just keep saying like a mantra in our head, let go and let God, meaning sometimes if something doesn't work out, we just have to let it go. And maybe other abundance will come, other opportunities will come. There is so many options. We don't even know how many are, but they're like limitless. That's why the word
Yeah.
limitless keep popping, into the
Hmm.
states.
And when you're in the zone, or the flow, people call it, the energetic flow, it's like those opportunities start to come. That's why I'm saying it's like you have to get that divine love, or start that process of reconnecting. It's really, you're connecting to yourself, you're connecting to your soul, just connected to everything. And that will start to open up, and then your mind, you have to do things like I do crystal ball sound healings. It's like they're so great. Even when you experienced it during the healing session we did together, it was like, the brain waves and your mind, it slows down. Like, people think meditation is um, tuning out. You're really kind of tuning in, and in order to tune in, it's like you can have thoughts like during meditation. You can have thoughts. It's still meditation, but what you're doing is it's like if it's thoughts, right? It's hard to see. It's hard to feel, sense that in between space. So you're really just kind of slowing in the process, slowing down the thoughts. So there's space in between. There's rest, and then okay, here's a thought. Okay, I wonder why that came in. Maybe I need to clear that, and then let it go. Like you're saying, let it go, and then the next thought might pop in and stuff. Meditation's a process. You're not really zoning out.
Well,
Sometimes you can go to a deep brain state, and that's very restorative.
yeah, and all that time that we actually can slow down, like a breathing through the meditation, it just give us an opportunity to have like a maneuver and realize what that time is giving us for in order to shift. That's very important because it's like in life. Sometimes our tempo is so fast we cannot even process. So many things come in our subconscious mind, which is the field that never is going to be filled, and only our conscious mind can filter some of the information. That's why it's important to balance our lives through the meditation and slow down sometimes, take a rest.
Yeah.
So before
And what do we do?
the emotion comes, we have to maybe breathe and hold it for literally 10 seconds and then let go. And even some of the problems might disappear without us even got involved, just to stay back kind of, and give it a time to clear it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, breath work is a very good way of clearing, you know, clearing stuff. But the thing is, it's like we suppress things. Like we have to, it's like a careful, it's like a balance, I think. Like you have to be careful. Like it's like, am I letting it go, or am I just avoiding it and I'm suppressing this?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you do have to address these things, and you don't have to like go for it. You can be like, okay, I noticed that. I'm gonna circle back and I'm going to address this thing at the rate and pace that I am able to comfortably or sort of comfortably. It's always there's got to be a little discomfort.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything's fine. You won't notice anything. So, and just at the level that you do and you process. So some people, come in for a session, they have like a shift immediately. And some things will shift immediately, but other things are a process because it may have taken a while to get yourself to that place where there's blockage in whatever area in life. So it might take you some time to pull yourself out of it. Like I was in a very long relationship that wasn't serving me
Mm-hmm.
so well, and it started to impact me physically, my
Mm-hmm.
body. And when I started extricating myself from that relationship, because it was very, complex reasons why I had to I had to do it at a certain pace. Um, I started healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll give you examples. I'll show the things now because you asked that way before,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a good way to get into that. It's like I'll just show it
Yeah,
and we'll
sure.
just talk
And,
about it.
and while we're gonna be opening the file, I want to also talk about your practice and your establishment.
Oh
When
yeah.
last week, yeah, me and my partner Gina, we visit you guys at the Ministry of Diamond Light, and we actually had the interview with Vladimir, a partner of yours, and we came
Yes.
actually for the session, and I was amazed because I was so thrilled even before when I was introduced to this similar type of technology that actually can do it like diagnostic, about which you're going to talk about in details. And actually, we can be on both sides of the border. We have scientifically proof and the results after we do the energy work with the clients. So visualization, what they can feel and see, it's very important, for people obviously who might be doing this for the first time, because I remember when
Oh
this
yeah.
word was introduced to me, I was blown away. I thought, am I like in shock? Am I in a different world? This is a dream, or like is this a reality that we can, expand in our lives? Because we all can do this, and this is our birthright.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the way the world has been set up was to close us down
Mm-hmm.
to our inability to heal and be powerful. And like the world sometimes, sometimes can be very disempowering. in their attempt to disempower us. So we have to do the work to recognize that and be like, wait a second, there's another way. So I think it's just instrumental. I was talking to you earlier about, like, for me, believability and provability is important to have, because we're talking about the unseen. You can feel the effects, but you might not know what it really is. And your mind might not be able to make sense of it because you haven't had the experience. There's nothing wrong with that. So having the experience is, they're positive experiences, things that work, things that work for you. So you do it once, anything in life. This worked for me. So what are you going to do? You're going to repeat it. And as it becomes repeatable, you're just like, oh, okay. Oh, I believe that this is a way that's right for me to accomplish the thing that I want to accomplish. So that, like, belief is you need to prove to yourself that what you're feeling experience is real. And I feel like one of the main ways to do that is to have experience. So there's proof in experience, but then what I love about the technology we use is it shows you and it lines up with, the things that you're told, and or the things that come out in this. You're like, oh yeah, like it actually, okay, now I know this emotional state or this way of thinking or this person in my environment that I'm allowing in my environment is creating this issue for me physically. So once you have that knowledge, in your consciousness, you can then go, okay, well, this is what I need to do if I want to reverse that. I need to take more time for myself. I need to remove this person from my environment, if that's what it is. It could be a job, You don't have to be like, I quit, unless it's that bad. You can, take your time, you can manage it so that, it's not so abrupt. The change isn't as abrupt. I tend to just say, okay, but that's me. And then I deal with all the challenges that come with making an abrupt decision. But I know it's right. I just, I tend to make decisions quickly. So I have this, I'm going to show you. I have to do screen sharing. Here's the screen sharing, share screen, and I'm going to make it
Yep, we all can see it.
full screen. There we go. I did it. Okay, so I'm sorry, my earpiece keeps
No
going.
worries. Yeah, so on this picture, it's actually a video, right? I believe, yeah.
It's a video. I'm going to play it because I want you to see. I want them to see. You already saw this. If you look at all the joints in the body, all the way all along the spine on the left side, there's this, you'll see this flashing. On the right side, you're seeing the red flashing. And then the elbows, the shoulders, the wrist joints, the knee joints, the ankle joints, they all, this represents, there's energy there, but it's not balanced. So how I perceived this was, well, this is the before, and then on the other side, you can see how it's not flashing as much. A lot of the spine, it's like some that energy was moved and released. But for you, what I did was I noticed that, and I was like, okay, there's a specific, I do polarity energy healing therapy. It was, by
This
Dr.
actually
Randolph
was
Stone.
mine, right? Diagnosis.
That was yours.
Okay,
Yes, that
okay,
was
okay.
yours.
I'm like, oh, I think I know this guy. It's like, is it me? It's like,
Yeah, you got nice hips, like a nice cranium. No, I know you. No, so there's a particular technique that, oh, did it stop? Yeah. That works. It works with the joints. It's like you're going through all the joints. So I was feeling and sensing that you had a lot of energy going up the right side, a lot of energy on that side, a lot of energy on the other side, but the integration of those, that masculine, feminine, I call it, that's what I call it, energies, not male, female, just these energies. It's like your right side has the masculine qualities of action, doing things. There's certain things to that. I won't get that far into it. And the left side is the more intuitive, deeper thinking, conscious side. So like, I don't know if you mind me sharing, you personally have a very like, this intuitive side, the spiritual side, this, the work that you do, it's all about that. You have that strongly. And on the other side, you do things, you get things done, you make sure, but it's what I was saying was like the two are almost like parallel, but they need to balance and work with each other. So I went from joint to joint doing a particular energy technique that's from polarity energy therapy, um, and moving the energy through the joints and then integrating them side by side, like they call it contralaterally, but like right hip to left shoulder, right shoulder to left hip, and then so I was helping the energy flow to integrate it, and the result of that, which we can see, was a lot of alleviation of these things. I mean, the whole, like
Mhm.
the legs and the hips, it's
Yeah.
like that imbalance was gone. It was integrated, and even in the sacrum there, at the bottom of where the hips are, the hip bones are, it's faintly flashing. So there's more work that can be done, but you can even do that on your own.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I can
this
do it
was
with
only
you.
done with one session. So you
That
guys
was
have
one set. That
understand,
was,
right? Uh-huh.
yeah, that was like, I think I was with
And
you for
obviously
about,
people think, oh, I might be, doing some of the healings on my own, which I wasn't. I'll be honest with you. I was totally in the hands of the, professional master, Roberto, and I was just, playing like still as a brand new, like a kid, without
yes.
any expectation.
Well, that's, and that openness
Mhm.
allowed, and trust that we have allowed you, that was what makes the work happen. It's like the openness and the ability to, feel the things that are going through your body when the energy session is happening, and maybe some emotional things, or, experiences you've had come up and they relate to some of the things we were working on. So it's, that's really, like a key thing for me is to make sure that people know it's like they have to participate in
Yes.
their own healing.
And,
So
uh-huh.
here, we alleviated a lot of the things, the imbalances and the energies. You might feel more integrated, um, like you're using both more, together, which is more powerful. And I wanted to show you something else.
Yeah, and
Stop
while we're gonna look
share.
for another picture, I want to mention that if the person might having any kind of blocks, even not trust or open themselves, to the master while they doing the sessions, uh, can also be, uh, I guess, like found before even the session starts, because intuitively we all as a healers know if any blocks might occur even during the session, so we can actually work through the blocks and get to the healing process much quicker. But obviously the clients need to just stay open and participate just a little bit. It's not like
Yeah, it's not, when I say participate, I'm not putting you to work.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just,
Mhm.
it's just, you have to, I would say the participation is, you're participating in your own healing process. So you're allowing yourself to become aware of things at
Mhm.
whatever pace you're comfortable with. It's not, I'm not pushing. The energy work that I do, it's like, yeah, we can be moving energy, but I'm listening. I'm listening, and then I create circuits. So the right hand's a positive charge, the left hand, this is all like physics, a negative charge. And by putting them in combination, hands on, two hands or hands above, creates a circuit that amplifies the movement of energy. So I'm just supporting the person. Like, I'm like, thank you for considering me a master, but I'm really just a facilitator of someone's own healing process, because I've done it myself, for myself, and for a lot of other people over 20 some years. And so I know what works, you know, and I remain open as a practitioner, because I can say, oh, okay, well, I know, like, I didn't just go, okay, Iouri, I'm going to do, the ether thing from polarity, and I'm going to work with all the joints and move the energy in the ether. You know, I wasn't thinking that. I just was intuitively listening to what your system was
Yeah.
telling me,
In most of the cases,
and I was
the
led to do
clients,
that.
in most of the cases, the clients will tell us how to lead them, in healing process, and we learn actually from the clients as well.
Absolutely. I love what I do. I love this work, and it's never boring, because everyone is, I don't know, I just love people. I might not like everybody, but I love them. And I'm just joking, but it's true. You know, um I have a certain love, like I was born to help other people. I finally figured out the best way that I'm supposed to be doing that. And that's why I love what I do and I love my life. I finally have, I'm fulfilling my mission. And if I can help people um, ease things in their in their lives and give them information so that they can do it themselves, because okay, so there was still a little bit of stuff there, some integration. You could come back and I can work with that energetically, but in your life, because you're aware of it, you can start working with, oh, I need to integrate this more, and you might clear the rest of it yourself. So my dream is for someone to come to me. If they come to me once, twice, like whatever gets you there, um, if you don't have to come back ever again, I've done my job. I am so happy, because now you can do this for yourself. And you may be inspired. Like I teach this as well. I have a school where I teach healing modalities
Yeah,
like
and
this.
talk about what you do on your weekly basis. What's your like a routine? What's your like workshops? What's your working hours?
Okay,
Mhm.
let's get down to business.
Yeah.
um, so I make my own schedule, so it's very easy for do. So I start my morning, I do my, meditations and things like that. I do a lot of yoga, but it's at a school. It's very like specific way of doing that has a spiritual content to it. And we're moving energy and we're working with connective tissue and we're like doing a whole bunch of things. So that's like things that I do physically to prepare myself to to be able to channel all of these energies.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I would get exhausted. So I'm not, I, to say I'm an energy healer, I'm not giving my energy. I'm participating, but I'm channeling
Mhm.
this energy so that, to be able to, because there's,
Mhm. Oh, Roberto, 1 second. We lost the sound for some reason.
Sorry, I ran out of. I'm talking too much.
I see. Okay, we're back. We're back on track.
I'm hearing static for
But
some.
I can hear you fine. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sure.
well, I won't do these.
Mhm.
Okay, so so you asked about business. So that was a whole other
Mhm.
thing. Get to the point, Roberto. So I talk to myself. No, so like there's all these other higher energies that come into play. So I don't get exhausted. But there's a certain amount of energy it takes for me to channel that. So and direct it. So I have to keep myself in really good physical form so that I can stay in those higher energies. Because it's like I'm meeting these, I'll call them spirit allies or higher energies or higher frequencies, connecting to the divine, whatever, people's belief systems are. It's to me it's all the same. Um, it's like I have to meet the higher energies, and the higher energies, like we have to meet somewhere. So it's like I'm putting out a signal just by raising vibration, and and that allows me to bring it in. So I don't, like people say, don't you get tired all the time? It's like no, because I take really good care of myself because I want to do this, and I'm that kind of person that it's just like I'm very devoted to my practices and what I need to do so that I can be the best, show up the best for everybody else. Um, So I do that, crystal sound bowl healings. It's always part like, okay, I created out of all of the different energy healing modalities that I do, I created my own because I was working with people and so much, and there was more to it than what I had learned, a lot more to it.
Yeah,
So
and talk about your crystal collection. When I was first came, I was like, is this like a gift shop? Are you guys selling them? It's like tons of different kinds of,
I'm
yeah.
not, I'm not selling them. It's to charge the space.
Uh-huh.
Like there's a lot of memory in crystals, a lot of energy in crystals. It amplifies healing. I put crystals, and they're specific, it's not just haphazard, but like there's a lot of crystals because I want the space to be charged. And when someone comes in, and when you came in too, you noticed like the difference in the energy when you come in. So the reason I have like a healing center studio is because I want to create an environment that is high frequency, so that more healing can happen. So yeah, I have, oh my God, I have so much crystal. I'm sitting in the room. Well, this is a faux room that you're looking at, but I'm sitting in the healing room.
Yeah, last time we shared about the photos, yeah, with the audience.
Oh yeah, there's crystals all around me.
Yeah, we all know how it looks like, which is a beautiful, lovely space that you guys created.
And I
Yeah,
bring crystals
loved
in.
it, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
felt in love first time I walked in. It's like, oh my God, it's like I'm home. It's like
I'm glad. That's the experience that I want people to have, I mean, energy is my life, so I'm very cognizant of the energy that's around and what people walk into. What was I saying? So I also use crystals. So, in healings, like for you, which is really interesting. I'm going to show this really quick.
Because we kind of
has to do with
jumped
crystals
ahead, and then let's go back a little bit because I think you were about to share some of the.
Well, this has to do with it.
Yeah.
Because I used certain crystals with you, or one in particular was God, what was the name of it? But if you notice, like on the rainbow man on the left, the feet are outside, like the energy field. This is the
Roberto, are you sharing the screen right now? Because
am I or I'm not?
No, you're not. I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
It's okay.
I got so excited I forgot to share the screen. How do we do this? There we go. I clicked the button. It just didn't happen.
Yes. Yep.
There we go. Okay, take two. So you see the rainbow man on the left. The energetic field is above the feet. So the feet are not in there. And, it could mean different things for different people. But I felt like in this case, the person was not as grounded. So in the higher energies, in that whole intuitive state and stuff like that, just needed some grounding to ground the energy. So if you look on the right-hand side, I used a carnelian crystal. This was actually, I think this is you too. Between your feet, because that was the root chakra, is how we're grounding. So I was using the crystal to amplify grounding for you. And then I was doing some work at the feet. So it was amplifying. I don't even know if you knew I had the crystal there because your eyes were closed.
No, I'm not. I just discovering right now all this information.
But it amplified. I felt like it needed more. So I put the crystal there. And if you notice, the bottom is like now the field, you're like more grounded.
Yeah.
Like the field is extending all the way down to,
in other words, I'm back into my aura, which can also be expanded. It's almost like at the minimum, I guess, expansion. So we can always, expand it more and more.
Oh yeah. And so you had mentioned crystals. So that's why, I wanted to do that. There's the importance of crystals. And I have, I do crystal sound bowl healings too, but I have sound frequency tuning forks. And they're at certain frequencies for different parts of the body. And there's crystals there's a crystals encasement in the bottom. So when you hit that vibration, say we're working with the heart, it's like people say it's 528 hertz, but there's other frequencies that affect it. But we'll say the heart tuning fork, you hit that, the vibration goes in, and you can put it right here, and it's that vibration is going to go in the body, and it's going to help you resonate and harmonize your frequency to that. I was talking before about a lot about opening up the heart energy, because that's how we connect and get fed inspiration and love and energy and life force, from the higher places. And the crystals that are surrounding the bottom of the fork amplify and make them more like coherent. Okay, it helps. I use essential oils. I have these beautiful oils that I got in some really amazing place in Egypt when I went to visit Egypt. And they're very powerful and potent and pure, like flower essences. And sometimes I'll use those as well, because they certain things are for certain chakras. Like there's a throat one, I think it's the Osiris one. There's they had the Egyptian healing. I went to Egypt to learn Egyptian healing practices, and to go to the temples and connect with those higher energies and understand some things. I've trained for the last 5 years with a shaman, and for shamanic healing practices all around the world. And it's like that opened up so much more to me. Being able, so I bring that in. There's like shamanic healing practices that help people, with the challenges, the internal challenges. It's like you're basically trying to, release the wounds that you've had in the past, because you carry the past, the vibration of those past things that you hold on to. You bring that with you into your life. So things will keep resembling the past things. Just like, why I always meeting people or in relationship with people or allow myself to be in a relationship with people that resemble this over and over and over again. Well, it's like, okay, we need to work on that. So they call it shadow work. There's other ways to call it. But anyway, I forgot to mention that. It's like I have, it's like 10 years. I'm in year 6 now, but it's always ongoing. And these practices, like, okay, it's the mystical. What's the mystical? All shamans are doing, and all, like, you want to call magical people, or people that allow, miracles to happen. It's in healing. It's all quantum physics. It's like you call it, like, magic is all the magic is you're tapping into the energies of all the elements that are around you, and you're embodying them, and then you're focusing them on an intention. So magic in itself is not bad. Now people have their filters, and they might have agendas that are not I'll say not in the best interest of others. But that's the person. That has nothing to do with the universal energies. Yeah. So, sometimes people are spooked out a little bit by, it's like shamanic work or spirit work, or, I work with angelic, energies as well when needed. So anyway, I don't know why I felt I needed to say that, but that I do shamanic healing as well. So this quiet, I call it quantum unity intuitive energy therapy, is my modality that I founded for my self, and I teach it, this modality. It encompasses shamanic healing, mediumship, channeling, spirits, guides, angels, energy healing work, and all these other things. And it's the reason I didn't know why I was fascinated in learning all of this stuff. It's in my family lineage, but I was never taught it, is because, and so many things, I didn't know how it all fit together, but now I do, because people sometimes, like a person, like a friend of mine, she's like a lovely person. She does podcasts, she's like a beam of light. Like just standing next to her is a blessing. It really is. She was having a hard time communicating, and she doesn't have it. any of that, normally. And she said, I want to have a session with you. I was like, okay. So I was working with her energy. I'm like, oh, your throat, your heart and your throat, they're vibrant energy, but there's like kind of a narrowing of your channel between them. So the communication between them. So what your heart really wants to say, you may find you're having a hard time expressing. And she said, yes, absolutely. And then I got an image of a woman came. It felt like she was right there on the side of me. It was just energy, very pleasant. And I described her to my friend during the session. And she was like, oh my God, Roberto, that's my mother. You completely described my mother. And she's like, there's still a part of me that like I grieved this, but there was something else there. So anytime something she would say or be inspired, like that had something to do with that in some way, it was like she was holding on to it. She was really holding on to the love that she had because she didn't want to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And letting go of someone doesn't mean that love goes away. So, but like, inside the internal workings, it's just like she wasn't ready to let go until that moment. And her mother, this spirit of her mother, came into my consciousness. I'll say it that way. It could have been coming from her field. I think our loved ones are, I believe our loved ones are with us.
Mm-hmm.
They continue they're in a different dimension, a higher sphere, and that's why mediums can raise their frequency to tune in to that if they care to. So for her, that was the need, and that's why that came in. So, and it was very healing, and then it cleared what it was that she was having difficulty with. So her communication completely shifted in a way that was more her, that she was used to. So that's one aspect. But there's a lot of different parts, and they're just there as tools. That's all it is. They're there as tools when the need arises.
Yeah, and that was a great story. Yeah, and we cover a lot of some of the beautiful information, which is like really good. And I want to ask you if you can give some of the recommendation for our audience, because sometimes people felt those experiences, but they don't know how to share and with who they might be able, to share some of these experiences. What will be the tips and the guidance for the beginners, how they can expand those abilities, not to be afraid, and step out from the shadow, and bring this light, to their life?
Yeah. Well, yeah, one is, I just want people to understand. I'm going to get but people because I went through this myself.
We all did.
When I was a kid, and things were happening and spirit was coming and I felt presences and stuff, and some were not so friendly, that's the fear that people have. But I can tell you the more it's not a scary spirit. It's like the spirit of your loved ones, even the ones that were cranky pains in the butt.
Listen, I'm having so much fun all the time, while obviously in a good way, when the client might be crying all in tears and fears, because obviously we can transform and bring them to the next level and they can shift. But for us, yeah, at the beginning, it might be a little bit challenging, but then we just fell in love with those energies, that we have this gift and ability and be honored to be in present, with these vibrations.
And it's a release. Those emotional things, like when somebody, I've had the lady would convulsively crying because she was letting go of a very deep trauma that I am so honored that she had trust in me to go to that place with me, and we worked with that. I just leave her in that state. She understood it completely. She released, and she said things that she needed to release, and that was beautiful. And she took it that way too.
Hmm.
You know, she was just like, oh, it released her. It was liberating.
Hmm.
So I like that too. But I don't bring anything in that anybody's, whatever person's beliefs or comfort levels. It's like
Yeah,
it's their healing thing, and it won't come. It won't come unless the person's ready
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
some way.
absolutely.
And I'm gentle. I'm gentle
Of course,
with
of course.
things, but everything is always positive. Okay, because I am in a divine love. So none of I'll call them interference. Um, it doesn't come. It just doesn't come. I have this it's like a force field, and people can create. You asked like what people can do. The more you can raise your vibration um, through meditation, listening to crystal sound bowl healings. If not with me, go on YouTube. You know, there's plenty of them. And but if you're going to work on like you really want transformation, it's like you need to work with a professional
Hmm.
that's trained in being able to help you release those emotions, those energies, be able to, talk about it and shepherd you and guide you through the process, so you're not just left there confused in these emotions. What do I do with these? Because you have to be able and be given the opportunity to release them. So you really have to be with someone reputable, someone that is, I could say channeling divine love, but people that are in a loving, compassionate place. And that's what I create. I create that environment because um, we don't, how many people, raise your hands, how many people have had traumas in their lives?
Both
You
hands.
know,
It's like,
you start to feel unsafe. So how do you, work with someone? It's like you build trust. Someone comes to me, I get it a lot. It's like people just tend to be at ease because I think they feel that I'm not judgmental. I'm all accepting. You can believe what you want to believe. Like I don't criticize, I don't judge. I am here for the benefit of you, And in the process, I learn a lot, And I get to connect with another human soul,
yeah. And
whatever level they want.
I would like to add to this to give some of the tips uh, for the audience that I remember myself worked and developed some of the virtues could really help our lives, and we have to know what are, I guess, the strong point, even the weak ones, because we can also shift the weak ones, and to progress. It could be the honor, respect, love, care, and all that, good virtues. And we can also manifest and visualize those energy to develop in ourselves.
Yes, and self-care. It's like, people try to make us feel like we're being selfish when we decide that we need to take care of ourselves. It's like me time. It's not narcissistic me time. It's like you are the only person that's going to make you happy. You can't find happiness in other people. You might mesh well with other people and you love their company and you're in a great relationship and that's fine, but you're doing this yourself. You have to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
You're making yourself happy, and then you bring that happiness into a relationship with someone else that's balanced enough that they bring their own happiness into it, and then you have like an environment where if you are going through a shadow or you do react, that's what our ego is. It's a protector, but it's really an opportunity. Is to tell us, hello, you're not taking care of yourself, so I'm going to have a tantrum. So
Yeah.
the bigger the tantrum means the more you're not taking care of whatever it is you need to take care of for yourself. So those come out. But if you're in a safe, loving environment, even with a partner, it's like you're doing your work. They're just supporting that because they're not going to judge you. They're not, if you can find that in your life.
Yeah.
Um, but in the meantime, you got to do it yourself. It's so much easier. I don't even know if, how people can think I'm saying this. It's so much easier to do it yourself than it is to go through all these things in a relationship, because relationships are there and people come into our lives, to test us.
Yeah, because they are
Right?
our best masters that we can learn from.
And it's amplified in a relationship.
Through, yeah, the tough situations.
It's amplified in a relationship. So it can, you know, I mean, if it's a loving, caring place, it's fine because you feel safe. But, you know, it could be a lot. It's amplified, so you're going to get there maybe faster. But if you do it yourself, then you don't have to go through that. You got to clear your karmas. You know,
in other words, sometimes we are looking the outside world to dictate our mood or our reaction or the feelings, but we all can, you know, project what we feel in, like that starts from inside of us. In other words, if the person experiences lack of abundance, maybe some financial situation, it's like the phrase will be, don't let you know, your financial situation dictate your life. You have to feel like you have limitless, the abundance all around you, and you have enough, you know. So which is also important.
It's hard to do. It's harder to do when you're in survival mode.
Yep.
Especially when you were talking about the financial thing. But I have to say, like, I started over from scratch. I'm like, I don't know why I do these things. No, I know why I do them.
And and I'm sure we can, you know, speak towards our next interviews and share some of, you know, these episodes. And I felt like we can speak for hours and hours, but we want to overwhelm our audience. So
You're like, kind of
conclude. Yeah, we're gonna conclude, and obviously we're gonna be posting this video and share with all of you guys very shortly. So, and I would like to thank you, Roberto, to participating in this interview. You share a lot of the stories that can help people, you know, actually to transform and shift in their lives. And especially if they need the session, they can come and they know where you are. And
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but I do online sessions as well. You know, I can do remote healing, but if you're in the Florida area,
which is good, because you see how the energy can be transformed. Distance it's not important. It's all gonna be doing through the same process, and the shifts will be as if the person will be sitting next to you, like physically.
And I would say
pretty much the same. I would say like identical.
It could be just as effective. I prefer in person because I can take a person out of their environment. If they can't. So just a couple quick little things I wanted to say for people. It's just like, just remember to care about yourself. Care about yourself like you would care about your most I don't know, whoever you love. It's like, love yourself the way you would want to be loved. And then that means taking care of yourself in every which way, and it's not selfish. And yeah, you have to have consideration for other people. You can't be just selfish, you know, but it's not being selfish, taking care of yourself, because you are in a better place, and you will attract the energy of whatever it is that's going on within you. So if you're not liking the experiences that you're having, or they're reflecting things of the past, or it's a cycle of something, then it's like you have to get out of it in some way, and just take one step forward. Do one thing a day for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you know, and you'll be like, wow, or just breathe, you know, and take alone time. It's like, people don't want to necessarily be alone. It's like, you're not being lonely. It's like you're just being in your own energy, and you need to be in your own energy without any distractions or anything like that, so that you can really see yourself more fully. And you take that one step, and it builds, and you're going to be like, I like this. It's not going to be work. And you're like, I need to do this. And people, like, forgive yourself for the choices you make. You know, that's a big component. You got to forgive, you know, the erroneous choices you may have made, because they're really not. They're just part of the growing process.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well said. And once again, Roberto, I would like to thank you for participating today, and I'm looking to do another interview. I felt like very honored, and I enjoyed speaking with you a lot.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I don't I'm laughing at myself. I laugh at myself a lot.
That's good.
Because I
Humor,
said
yeah.
me too. It's like I love speaking to myself. No, I enjoy speaking with you, and I thank you for the opportunity to actually, take all of this time. I know it like I can talk a lot,
Mhm.
but I feel like certain things are important, and I'd love to speak with you again and share whatever I can with people.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.